Hi, I'm Keely from Homegrown Art, and today I'm going to show you how to draw a pine cone. Let's get into it. So I've started by marking roughly the center of my page, and then from there I've created an egg shape. So this is what we're going to use to create our pine cone. So we're going to then divide our pine cone into about 3 or 4 sections. So let's go this bottom quarter. This midline is fine, and then one more line dividing this into 2 here. So this first section at the bottom here, we're just going to fill it with diamond shaped lines. So rounded diamond shapes. So the top can be a little bit more pointed, not pointed, but more so than the bottom. The bottom will be more round. So go ahead. They don't need to be perfectly fit into the spots as we go, but just to start, I'm going to make a rough line here, but at the bottom, try not to go past this line. So once you go here, they might curve around so you can't see them, so just do about half of it and then curve with the guideline. So let's keep going, up, down, curve the bottom, up, down, curve at the bottom. This is a little bit pointy up here, so round it out. Okay, so we have one rough line here, and so let's go down the rest of the way. I'll put you in time lapse, and we'll just fill in the gaps. So for the first example, in between these two, up, down, filling this gap here, and then the rounded bottom. So you can see how they fit together. So I'm going to continue in, fill this bottom quarter, and then I'll see you in this next segment. So for those of you who do the flower tutorials on Instagram with me, this next segment's going to feel a little bit familiar. It's going to be just like doing petal folds. So I'll show you on a separate page here. So here's midline, the outer edges, so working within these. So in midline here, we're going to do a rounded top. It's a very direct view, a rounded but still diamond shaped bottom, and then they're going to meet down towards the center line. So these are the direct centers. So really diamond, almost lemon shaped, and then down and more narrow towards the center. So as we move towards the side, it's going to be just like doing petals. So when you're doing petals, I don't think I've ever shared this, but I recommend doing the outermost edge first. So whether that is, you know, your rounded petals like this, or if you're doing a folded petal and maybe it's this first edge that's folded up like this. So same thing. You're going to come up, make this same or similar shape, the bottom of the diamond, round up and over, and then we're going to come meet this line. So sometimes you might see a little bit more of the side like this, or it'll come up and actually just meet directly with that line. And then from there, you're going to find the farther corner. You don't have to draw in it, but for this, for the sake of this example, I'm going to. So coming across, then you can see where the bottom of this, we'll call it a stem, is going to be for the pine cone. So again, you're going to come up rounded, down in the V, rounded top meeting that first line, far corner, come across, and then down back towards the center. So seeing that in reverse on the other side, so coming up, curved, that rounded V shape, this one's a little bit bigger, curve top meeting that first line, find that far corner, come across, and then down meeting back here. Last time, and then we'll go back to the drawing. Okay, curve up, down. We're filling in the gaps here. There's a bit of a triangle, so we're filling in that gap. Round the top back to the first line or just to the side of it, far corner back, and then down towards the center. So we're going to continue in this next section from here to here, filling it in just like that. So I'll put you in time lapse and I'll meet you at this next line. So now that we've reached this third segment, it's going to be very, very similar to what we just did, except for the part that we're calling the stem is going to be a bit longer. So you can see it. This is a pretty direct view, but this we're almost seeing it from a lower perspective. So we're going to, still same thing, so center line will be more of a gap. Let's start up here, rounded top, rounded bottom diamond shape, and then you're going to see that stem come down. Okay, same thing here. This one's still going to be the direct view to center, straight down. It's a little narrow. There we go. Okay, and so let's do one more center one. Rounded, rounded diamond shape, a little bit more towards the side. And then same thing for these side left and side right shapes. So curving up, down and up, meeting that first line, and then from this far corner, coming across and back down. So same thing, we're going to fill in those gaps. So there's a bit of a gap here, we can put one in behind. So curving up, down and up. You can come out of that guide just slightly if you need to. If you're fitting in there just fine, that you can leave it. Down, come across and down. So it's filling in those gaps. So a couple more on the other side, and then I will meet you up at the top. So up. So more spaced out than we did down here. So up, down, up in that diamond shape, rounded back to the first line, down. So by this point, you're probably getting pretty comfortable with this movement. Fill in the gap a little bit here. Okay, and let's put one more over here. So coming across and back. Okay, so I'm going to finish these spaces here and then we'll come together for this last quarter. So now that we've reached this final quarter of the pine cone, it's going to be very similar again to this section, except for, again, the stems are going to be very long, except for you're going to see less of this diamond shaped top part. So it's going to be a little bit more narrow. So I'll show you here. Again, we'll space them out like we did here. This one will be higher. So up, across, up, down, diamond shape, coming back towards that first line. And you can see, well, this one's still pretty wide, but come across, back down. Let's do a little bit more narrow this time. Scooping up, down, just keep it very shallow. Back to that first line, and down. So again, over here, let's go up, very shallow, to that first line, and back down. And they're just going to stick straight up as we get to the top here. So filling in this gap over here, keep it narrow. And this gap here, maybe a little bit more narrow there. Okay, and come across this one here. Okay, and for this last part, we're just going to do rounded top, V underneath, and then straight down. Rounded part, V, straight down. And then one more right up top, rounded part, V, straight down. All right, so we've drawn our pine cone. You can go ahead, you can fine line this, you can add in some detail lines if you like. You could even go in with pencil, charcoals, whatever you like to add in your shading. But there is your pine cone.
If you made it this far and have found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Friday. I also do tutorials on Instagram every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I'll put the link in the description below for that. But otherwise, that's everything. So I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!